For a long time, I thought my parents were just getting old. The size, the slower steps, the way my dad would pause halfway up the stairs pretending to check his phone, the way mom would smile and say, "I'm just a little tired," as she rubbed her temples and pushed her half-eaten breakfast away. I didn't question it, I just accepted it. That's how aging works, right? You slow down, you lose strength, you get tired. But one morning I stood in the kitchen and saw something that stayed with me. Dad was sitting by the window. His eyes were open, but he wasn't looking at anything. Not the birds, not the sun, just nothing. He looked tired, yes, but more than that, he looked disconnected. And suddenly I felt ashamed, because I realized I had been feeding him silence. Routine, the same reheated congee, the same weak tea, the same assumption, it's fine, he's old. But maybe he wasn't just tired. Maybe he was undernourished. Maybe he was bored. Maybe he was waiting for someone to see beyond the plate. That morning I sat down, notebook in hand, and decided, if I can't fix age, I'll fix the energy. If I can't rewind time, I'll redesign breakfast. One dish at a time. One small bowl of care. I started with this dish for one reason. It reminded me of something my mom used to make back when life was fuller, busier, but still warm. Lotus root isn't flashy. Red beans aren't trendy. But they're quiet healers. Lotus root helps blood flow. Red beans restore energy. And something about their textures, one firm, one creamy, felt like balance. Like morning and night. Like my dad's calm and my mom's softness. So I peeled the lotus root, cut it into circles, and sandwiched red bean paste in between. I steamed them gently until the edges softened and the sweetness rose like memory. When I placed it on the plate, my dad looked confused. "What is this?" "Just something small," I said. He picked it up with his hands like a rice cracker, took one bite, chewed slowly. Then he said, "This tastes like when your mother used to surprise me." I didn't reply, I didn't need to, because he smiled. And for once, the morning felt full again. I don't know when exactly Mom stopped sleeping well. Maybe it was after her arthritis got worse. Or maybe it was when she stopped feeling needed. Some nights I'd wake up to her silhouette in the hallway, moving slowly, not searching for anything, just not ready to lie still. That's when I began reading about sleep-supportive meals, and I learned something beautiful. Purple cabbage has anthocyanins, compounds that soothe inflammation and support memory. Seaweed, rich in iodine and magnesium, gently calms the nervous system, so I made her a soup. No heavy oil, no salt bombs, just softness. Steamed cabbage, rehydrated seaweed, simmered in a light broth with a slice of ginger. When I gave her the bowl, she looked skeptical. "It's purple," she said, smiling. "I know," I replied, "but just try one spoon." She took a sip. Her eyes didn't widen, she didn't exclaim, she just closed them and exhaled, long, slow. That night she slept through. And in the morning her first words weren't about pain. They were, "That soup, it felt like sea air." Dad used to be the first one up. He'd walk to the gate, sweep the front yard, and boil tea before the sun rose. But lately, I've been waking up before him. And when I peek into his room, I see him lying there, awake, but unmoving. Like his body is on pause. One morning I asked gently, "Did you sleep well?" He nodded, but his eyes said otherwise. That day I decided, maybe the morning shouldn't start with questions. Maybe it should start with warmth. So I made a new kind of porridge. Millet, small, golden grains that nourish the stomach. Lotus seeds to calm the heart and help restore steady rest. And ripe pear peeled and sliced for a touch of soft sweetness. I cooked it slow. No rush, no sugar, just patience. When I served it, I didn't say anything. Just placed the bowl down and poured some warm water beside it. Dad looked at it, curious, took a spoonful, chewed, swallowed. And then for the first time in a while he said, "This feels kind." That word stayed with me all day. Because sometimes healing isn't loud. It's not in the supplements or the doctor's list. It's in the small decisions we make before anyone else wakes up. In the choice to cook slowly, to care gently, There's something special about giving your parents something you made yourself. Not money, not health supplements. Just something small but with a lot of thought. Something that says, I thought about you, and I made this for you. So I started experimenting with soft steamed buns. No oil, no sugar, just warmth and a little care in every step. I mixed cornstarch with a little rice flour, grated fresh zucchini, and added some minced wood ear mushrooms. Pour it into a small mold, steam until the buns are just cooked, lightly fragrant, just enough for 2 pieces. Not because my parents eat little, but because I want each piece to be a message. You deserve my time. I placed the small bun on the tea plate in front of my mother. She looked up and asked, "What's the occasion today?" "No." "So why does it look like a gift?" I didn't answer, just sat there watching my mother eat, each small, slow spoonful as if the cake was telling a story. Maybe it was. Maybe it carried within it the silent love of a son, who wasn't good at speaking, but now knew how to show up in another way. Not every solution needs to come in a bowl. Some come in a glass, quiet, creamy, and comforting. That's what I learned after watching my parents doze off on the couch mid-morning. Not because they slept well the night before, but because breakfast had drained them more than it had helped. Too sweet, too heavy, a sugar spike, then a slump. So I tried something different, a smoothie, but not the kind in ads. Not frozen berries and flashy powders. I used what we had: 1 ripe banana, a quarter of an avocado, a spoon of overnight oats soaked in almond milk, a dash of cinnamon. I blended them quietly while Mom was watering her plants, poured it into 2 small glasses. When I handed one to Dad, he said, "Smoothie, that's what the young folks drink." I just smiled. "Try it, it's ours now." He did, and halfway through, he said, "I feel awake but not rushed, like my head is clear but my body is still calm." That's exactly what I wanted. Not just energy, but peaceful energy. The kind that doesn't burn fast and disappear. The kind that carries you gently through the day. In the past, I thought that loving my parents meant doing something big, buying a new bed, taking them to the doctor, buying expensive supplements. Those things weren't wrong. But as time went on, I became more convinced of something else. Love, sometimes it's not loud. Love is a pear that's already peeled. It's a bowl of soup without salt. It's a small corn cake, steamed on an afternoon with no special occasion. Because old age changes the body, but not the heart. Parents still want to be cared for, still notice every little detail, still feel loved not through big gifts, but through regular and quiet things. If you're like me, cooking every day for an elderly relative, then start here. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just a bowl of porridge, a better alternative, a slow-cooked meal, and an unspoken but always present word. I see you, Mom and Dad. I still want to protect you. Today, let me take a little of the burden off you. Because the truth is, when love is real enough, it doesn't need to be loud. Just not leaving. If this story reminds you of a loved one, your father, mother, or grandparents, then perhaps today is the time to try something new. It doesn't have to be big, just a small dish. A bowl of warm porridge, a small act but enough to say, "You are still important to me." Because caring doesn't always come with a manual, but it always starts with one thing: the desire to be loved properly. If you are on this journey too, you are not alone. I am with you. And who knows, amid the steam of a bowl of soup or the softness of a cake, we will find something bigger than food. A new way of loving, when words are no longer enough to express it.